The year was 2016. Donald Trump was just elected to office. Harambe had been shot to death. But most importantly, a new Minecraft update was on the horizon. 1.11, the Exploration Update. With Minecraft at the lowest it's ever been, this update had the potential to turn things around in an instant. And the only thing they decided to add was woodland mansions. That's it. Woodland mansions are easily the worst structure in the entire game, and for three main reasons. One, they're extremely hard to get to. To find one, you have to go to a village, level up different cartographers until one sells you a Woodland Explorer map, buy it, travel thousands of blocks until you get to the right location, and then you can go inside the mansion. Two, they're extremely challenging to traverse. Mansions are a labyrinth of rooms, tunnels, and secret passageways. You can't just go inside and loot the place. You have to burn the entire thing down just to get to any of the chests. And speaking of chests, there's issue number 3. They have nothing in them. Mansions have no good loot, no helpful features, nothing. Before 1.14, you could at least get Totems of Undying from the Evoker, but now that you can get them from raids instead, there's literally no reason to go to a mansion. Unless you want this one specific armor trim, but let's face it, nobody wants to wear this shit. The Woodland Mansion is just a small part of the wider problem with Minecraft's exploration system. From structures to biomes to those stupid-ass desert wells that do absolutely nothing, there are so many great locations in this game that have just been forgotten about. I remember when I would love to go out and explore, but nowadays it just doesn't feel the same. Then again, since that point, we've survived a worldwide plague, housing prices have more than doubled, and we've all aged 10 years, but come on, why do things feel so different? The point is, exploration can be so much more than it is now. Even though there's a ton of problems holding it back, and even though the housing market is about to crash, we can make it live up to its full potential as a core part of the game. This is Minecraft's exploration problem, and how to solve it. Oh, shit. Come on. There we go. Let's say you're on an expedition. Climbing harrowing terrain and fighting dangerous mobs, all to reach your final destination. The Ancient City. It's the most dangerous area in the entire game, covered in darkness and crawling with skulk sensors, ready to alert your presence to Minecraft's deadliest enemy, the Warden. You tread carefully, making sure to stay quiet, when suddenly a skeleton shoots you from behind. The skulk sensors activate and the Warden erupts out of the ground, ready to destroy you in one fatal blow. You run as fast as you can, looking for anything you can grab before you're forced to escape. And right before the Warden catches you, you spot it. One singular chest. With everything at stake, you race towards the chest, open it, and you gotta be kidding me, bro. Ancient cities were added in the Wild Update, also known as Caves and Cliffs Part 3, and despite being added 2 years late, they have a lot of things going for them. They're interesting, exciting, and most importantly, dangerous. In an age where Minecraft continues to get easier, ancient cities offer a challenge that you can't find anywhere else. They also have the worst loot in the entire game. To illustrate my point, I'm going to read out every single item that can be found in an ancient city. Here we go. Coal, bone, soul torch, potion of regeneration, amethyst, skulk, that one stupid-ass music disc that sounds like a broken washing machine. Glowberries, book, bottle of enchanting, skulk sensor, iron leggings, skulk catalyst, compass, lead, damaged enchanted diamond hoe. Jesus Christ, this sucks. More music discs, name tag, saddle, diamond horse armor, diamond leggings. This would be fine if it wasn't the only type of armor that spawns here. There's literally nothing else, just pants. Ward armor trim, silence armor trim, and finally, enchanted golden apples, which would be useful if the Warden didn't already one-shot you in full netherite armor. But you're probably asking yourself right now, Jet, how could you have forgotten to talk about the recovery compass? It's the most useful item the ancient city has to offer, allowing you to easily locate your items when you die. The recovery compass sucks ass. Like that guy said, it points to your last death location, which is admittedly a very useful feature. The only problem is it's kept in the ancient city, which we've already established as the most dangerous location in the entire game. If you're able to get it, you're most likely a pretty skilled player, meaning you're not gonna die too often, but the players who do die often aren't experienced enough to traverse through the ancient city, which is where the problem is. Those who can get to the compass don't need it since they're already skilled enough to obtain it, and those who aren't skilled enough to obtain it are the ones who actually need it, but they can't get to it because they're not skilled enough. But if they get skilled enough, they don't need the compass anymore because they're not gonna die, so what's the point of going there at all? Dude, it's a Minecraft item. Who cares? I care. They really got to take these guns away from me. Ancient cities are a perfect example of our first exploration issue, risk versus reward. For any structure to feel balanced, there needs to be an equal level of each. Too much risk and too little reward, and you'll end up with the ancient city. Incredibly difficult to navigate, but with no reward for those who do. Too little risk and too much reward, and you'll end up with something like end cities. They're home to some of the most powerful items in the game, but only guarded by a bunch of purple cubes. Look at him. They're not gonna do anything. I'm gonna save that issue for a different and related video, but as far as the ancient cities go, I think there's a few things we can do to drastically improve them. When creating any structure, you wanna ask 3 questions. 1, what challenge should it give the player? 2, what stage of the game should it inhabit? And 3, what reward does it offer? The ancient city already has the challenge part down. I don't think we need to make it any harder. But the second question is still up for debate. What stage of the game should it inhabit? When should the average player visit an ancient city? Well, since the warden is probably the most dangerous mob in the entire game, I would argue you should visit it during the late game, probably sometime after you've defeated the Ender Dragon. So to make sure it's locked to that stage of the game, we're going to introduce the Abyss Explorer map. It gives you the exact location of one of these ancient cities, and just like the other Explorer maps, can be purchased from a cartographer village. But here's the twist. He'll only be able to give you that trade after the Ender Dragon has been defeated. This ensures that players can only find an ancient city after they beat the dragon, making its place in Minecraft's progression a lot more straightforward. But then again, there's always the chance that someone just stumbles upon one by accident. So to solve that problem, I came up with a genius idea. We made them a little bit rarer. I could come up with a better solution, but I've been making this video for 6 months and I just want to be done with it, man. So that's the second one down, but there's still one more question we need to answer. What reward does it offer? Why should I go through all this trouble to find an ancient city? What greater purpose do they serve? Well, let's ask ourselves, what are late game Minecraft players always in need of? That's right. A girlfriend. Experience points. Think about it. The first thing we all do after beating the Ender Dragon is build a hyper-efficient Enderman farm to enchant all our items. An obviously intentional mechanic carefully implemented by the Mojang developers. So to aid us in this noble grind of obtaining unnecessarily powerful armor, we're going to introduce a form of XP storage. Meet the Skulk File. It's crafted with 7 Echo Shards and can hold up to 1,395 experience points, which equates to exactly 30 levels. By shift right clicking, you can instantly store any amount of XP you want, throw it in a chest, and save it for later. But if you pick it up and drink it, that stored XP is deposited directly back inside of you. Yeah, we're gonna need a better term for that. Not only is this cool as shit, but it also makes sense for lore reasons, since Skulk blocks are already capable of storing small amounts of XP. This vial alone gives a whole new reason to visit an ancient city. It offers something that'll be useful to the player for years to come, and at least in my opinion, is a fair reward for the risk of going there. While we're here, I'm going to tweak just a couple other things about the ancient city. Any enchanted armor can now spawn in chests, not just leggings. I get what they were trying to do with the Swift Sneak thing, where it's like, oh, Swift Sneak is put on leggings, so we only have leggings. Shut up. Okay, just put all the armor pieces there. It makes so much more sense. And we're going to remove the recovery compass from ancient cities and instead put it in the Woodland Mansion, which we're also going to make 3 times more common. You're welcome. So there you go. We've just taken the ancient city from one of the most useless structures in the entire game to one of the most useful. But unfortunately for us, this is just one structure in a sea of problems that we have yet to solve. But first, I have a very special announcement to make. You may have noticed in the last few clips that the items I'm talking about are, actually real. I'm not just talking out of my ass anymore. And that's because I've decided to code them into my very own mod. That's right, I've shipped 10 Taiwanese sweatshop workers directly to my house to code this mod from my basement. It's available to download now on my Patreon, which is only $8 a month. Same price as Twitter Blue, yet somehow twice as many features. It's genuinely a really high quality mod. I spent a ton of time with the sweatshop, the developers, to ensure that this is the best mod it can possibly be. So if you find any bugs while playing, don't tell me because I'm not going to fix it. Also, if you don't have any money, I guess that's okay too. We're doing a raffle in my Discord next week for a few people to get the mod for free. But with that out of the way, let's get back to fixing Minecraft's exploit. All right, you're free. Get out of here. What a horrible person. Time to go take some oil from a Middle Eastern country. Minecraft has an incredibly diverse world. It's full of lush greenery, unique animals, and interesting structures, like those stupid goddamn desert wells that just sit there for no reason. But most importantly, it's full of biomes. Biomes are what piece the Minecraft world together, giving it important variety and making it feel real. The only problem is, you never see them. Before making this video, I started a new survival world just to refresh myself on the single player experience. I went mining, built a house, all the normal stuff you do in a Minecraft playthrough. But after a few days of playing, I realized something huge. I had stayed in this plains biome for my entire playthrough. No joke, I literally went back and tracked how long I spent in each biome and found these results. 57% of my time was spent in the original plains biome, 38% of my time was spent underground in caves, and this tiny sliver of colors right here is as every other biome in the game. In one single biome, I had built my entire base, gathered all of my materials, and set myself up to survive for almost the entire playthrough. However, there is always the chance that I could just be stupid. Jet, were you there on January 6th? Yes. What is that, by the way? So, to make sure my playstyle wasn't biased in any way, I reran the trial with a few other players and got virtually the same results. They spent the majority of their time in the first biome they spawned into, only leaving it for very short time periods. Sometimes they left to gather specific materials, other times to advance through the game, but no matter what, they always came straight back to spawn. And when you look at how Minecraft is structured, it's pretty clear why. Almost everything the player needs is found underground. Need ores for armor and tools? Go underground and mine for it. Need an enchant table or lapis? Go underground and mine for it. Need obsidian to get to the nether? Go underground and mine for it. Caves are overflowing with useful items to the player, whereas the surface has pretty much just two things, food and wood, which I already get every morning, so it's not even that useful. Since most important items can be found underground, players are obviously going to spend more time there. And if every biome has the same underground, they're never going to leave the one they spawned into, opting instead to make one base at spawn and nothing else. This is one of the biggest issues holding Minecraft's exploration back. It's far too easy to get everything you need from one specific area. Trees and animals can be found almost anywhere, every biome spawns the same amount of ores. When every biome is functionally the same, there's no reason to go out and find new ones, resulting in players staying at spawn for their entire playthrough. But don't worry, because I have an amazing idea that can fix all of this. We're going to add underground biomes. Fuck was that?
Yeah, we already did that.
Why are you at my house?
We added a few different cave variants, but it didn't work for some reason.
Yeah, because they're all completely useless. Why the hell would anyone want to go out and find a dripstone cave?
That's a good point, actually. Do you have any other ideas?
Well, you could make different amounts of each ore spawn in certain biomes, inciting players to explore if they need more of a particular resource.
That would be too much work.
Jesus, you really do suck at this. Why the hell would that be too much work? Do your employees work more than 30 minutes a day? You are the biggest company in the goddamn world. Figure it out. The Badlands biome. A barren wasteland full of nothing but terracotta and rolling tumbleweeds. Or so it seems. Beneath the surface lies a gold mine. Like, not a figurative gold mine, like an actual just mine of gold. The Badlands is one of only 2 biomes in the game that has its own unique ore distribution, generating over 3 times more gold than any other area. The second of these biomes is the mountains, which is the only place you can find emeralds in their ore form. Now, these 2 features aren't inherently very useful. You're not going to be traveling out to a Badlands biome for 5 extra gold ingots. But in concept, it's a very good way of introducing function to certain biomes. Let's say that you need a large amount of coal for a project you're doing and don't want to spend 40,000 years gathering it all. Well, instead of slaving away to strip mine directly underneath your base, you could go out and find a desert biome. Deserts will now generate coal much more than other biomes, giving you a convenient place to get bulk amounts of it. This is because deserts are often sites of ancient ocean basins, which when filled by surrounding rivers with sediments containing organic remains, offer just the right conditions for oil and gas to form. Yeah, I studied plate tectonics to find out which Minecraft biome was more likely to have coal. I hate my life. If certain biomes had higher levels of certain resources, it would make players want to go out and find them, giving an incentive to explore rather than sit in one place and get all your resources from there. Copper could be more common in oceans because it forms on real-life seafloors. Diamonds could be more common in jungles because rainforests often house precious gemstones, and birch forests could have more iron because they direly need it. They're about as useful as the winners of the last 3 mob votes. If you're curious, here's how I mapped it out for every other biome in the game, taking into account balancing, realism, and also just what I felt like fit. But the good thing about this is we don't need to stop at ores either. Certain biomes could spawn more of one type of animal, individual crops could grow faster or slower, mob drops could be more common. There are literally infinite ways to differentiate these biomes, and if Mojang were to add more attributes like this, it would encourage exploration in all stages of the game. But luckily for us, they kinda already are. In Snapshot 23W31A, a big change was made to how librarian villagers operate. Before the update, you would cycle through each book trade until you found the one you were after, with each trade having an equal chance of appearing. However, after Mojang's changes, each trade was now locked to a certain biome. If you wanted efficiency, you would have to find a villager from a desert biome, and if you needed mending, you would have to get a swamp villager. They literally added diversity employment laws to Minecraft. Shit's crazy. On the surface, this seems like a really good change. It forces players to go out and get villagers from all sorts of biomes rather than just set up a full trading hall in the one they spawned into. But that being said, it still has a couple issues. For example, How the hell is someone supposed to know which biomes they need to go to? If a new player were to go and cycle a librarian, they're gonna be pretty confused why the only two trades they're getting are Smite 4 and Blast Protection. Like, yeah, you can always just look it up, but if we keep adding features that need a wiki to be able to understand on a basic level, we're just gonna end up like Terraria, where you have to go through 6 different web pages just to figure out how to craft the Terrorblade. Is this it? Oh, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't it be that? How could I have forgotten? So here's a simple solution. Don't make trades exclusive to certain biomes, simply make them more common in them. Imagine if in that desert idea from earlier, I had made it so that coal could only be found in the desert and nowhere else. If the player can't find a desert biome, or if the only one is extremely far away, it's going to be almost impossible for that player to get any coal. We've suddenly just turned a cool and engaging feature into a very annoying feature. The villager trades have this same problem. If there's no savanna near you, it's impossible to get sharpness. If you can't find a swamp, guess you're gonna have to live without mending. But by making these trades more common in certain biomes rather than exclusive, you get the best of both worlds. Newer players don't need to figure out which biomes have which books because they can still technically get all of them from one area. But if you're having trouble with one or just want the process to go faster, you can go out and find the biomes where they're easier to get. In other words, you don't need to hit the diversity quota, but it's definitely going to help you out. So there you have it. With these small changes, Minecraft's biome system has been completely reworked. Every single biome now offers something useful to the player in both early and late stages of the game. Maybe instead of building one base at spawn, the strategy would be to build multiple outposts across your world. Specific places you would travel to in order to harvest the biome's resources or use it to build more efficient farms, all connected via railways. Railways. Hey, Daryl!
Yeah,
When was the last time you used a railway?
I don't know, like westward expansion?
How old are you?
Oh, you mean in Minecraft? I don't know, man, it's been a while.
No, go back. Okay, were you there for the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad?
Yeah, I was one of the project managers for it, you know? Making sure the workers stayed in line.
Daryl, 1,200 migrant workers died while making that railroad. What the hell, man?
Well, you just hired 10 more from Taiwan, so who's the real villain?
I'm firing this guy. Okay, here's our goal. We need to stop the player from wanting to keep their stuff in one central area. It hinders exploration and generally just makes the game boring. We instead need to encourage them to spread out over multiple different locations, giving them more variety in their gameplay and inciting them to explore. We've already done most of the work with the biome tweaks we just added, but there's one more thing stopping them from being fully effective, and that is transportation. How's the player gonna get between these areas? Is it gonna be on horseback? Is it gonna be by minecart? Is it gonna be using an 18,000 block per second TNT cannon that uses advanced logarithmic calculations to precisely accelerate an ender pearl at whatever angle you choose? Maybe, but probably not. More than likely, you're going to be using one of the more basic forms of transport. Things like minecarts, horses, not chest boats, the elytra, nether highways, the list goes on. A lot of these could be absolutely perfect for what we need, yet for some reason, we never use any of them. It's like my guy Daryl said, we haven't used minecarts since the Transcontinental Railroad was finished back in 1869. Rest in peace to those 1,200 migrant workers. The point is, transportation has a big problem. And to find out why, we need to go back to the wonderful year of 2010! Minecraft was still in its infancy, and players needed a fast way to get around their world. So, Notch introduced minecarts. By setting up rail lines in between locations, you would be able to make permanent, reusable transportation wherever you wanted. Yeah, it's a little expensive, but it was the only choice you had, instantly making minecarts one of the most useful items in the entire game. So, as long as nothing challenges them for that spot, transportation should live happily ever after. 2011! Minecraft is now in beta, and Notch wanted to have a use for this new hunger mechanic he was making, so he invented sprinting. By double tapping forward, you could run over 7 meters per second, almost the exact same speed as minecart. As long as you had a stable food source, unlike many of the 1,200 migrant workers, there was literally no reason to use minecarts anymore. Okay. Maybe it's not that bad. Okay, they're still slightly faster, right? And you probably don't want to run anywhere anyway. So as long as Mojang doesn't add anything faster than minecarts, we should be okay. 2013! The horse update is released, which, as you can probably tell, adds horses, a new mode of transport that's faster than minecart. Horses can go anywhere, they don't use up food, can jump 4 blocks, travel 14 meters per second, a hell of a lot faster than 8, and saddles are now found in pretty much every chest in the game. Okay, horses are just infinitely better than minecarts in every single way. That's called the meta, okay? And trust me, Mojang is not gonna add anything crazier than that. 2016! Flying is now a vanilla mechanic. Cause that makes sense. At least it's hard to get, right? Jesus Christ. You can see the issue here. Every time Mojang tries to add a new form of transport, it completely invalidates everything that came before it. Horses made the minecart obsolete, the elytra made horses obsolete, and chest boats made nothing obsolete. I just irrationally hate them. Everyone has a different idea on how they want to fix this problem. Some people think we need to give minecarts a huge speed buff, others want the elytra to be removed from the game. This guy just said the N-word. Like, it's crazy. But I think there's a way we can solve this problem without using racial slurs, and that's by introducing specialization. In 375 BC, an Athenian philosopher named Plato wrote a book called Republic, which contained the oldest known mention of division of labor. Plato explained that for a society to function efficiently, you needed different people supplying different things. A farmer to harvest crops, a builder to make houses, etc. This is the main idea of specialization. By giving each person one role, it allows them to get much better at it than they would otherwise, leading to faster advancements in technology and a more efficient society. The minecarts in Minecraft, on the other hand, are not very efficient, because Minecraft's transportation system isn't specialized. Boats are able to go really fast on water and really fast on land. Horses are able to travel to existing locations, which was previously the minecart's job, and explore new ones. Every new form of transport just does the same thing as the last one, when they should all be doing different things. This was a really easy concept to explain. I did not need to go back to 375 BC. So, using the teachings of Plato, let's go ahead and specialize each form of transportation, starting with the OG and my absolute goat, the minecart. Since rail lines take so long to set up, the minecart's main job should be to transport the player between frequently visited locations. Places they're gonna go multiple times. Things like bases, automatic farms, if you live in Omaha, narcotics vendors. So, we're gonna need to make a few big tweaks. First, we need to buff the speed. Like I said earlier, sprinting is only slightly slower than minecarts. If we want people to use these, they need to be worth the materials they put into it. To do this, we're going to increase their speed by about 1.5 times. This ensures they stay comfortably above sprinting at 12 meters per second while not being too overpowered at, say, twice the original speed, which, in my opinion, is a little bit much for normal rails. Secondly, we need to make them cheaper to set up. These things are wildly expensive to make. It almost explains the ultra-low wages of the 1,200 migrant workers who die building the transcontinental railroad. In my experience, getting the normal rails for a minecart track was never that big of an issue, so for those, we're just going to give a small increase to how many you get per craft. But what has been an issue for me is getting all the powered rails. The crafting recipe for these is extremely unforgiving. You get 6 per craft. 6! That's like the amount of times I've had sex multiplied by 6. Now, we could just increase this amount like we did for normal rails, but I have a slightly cooler idea. We're going to replace the gold in the powered rail recipe with copper. Not only does this make it a lot cheaper, because let's face it, we all have way more copper than we need these days, but this also gives another use to copper, which it is entire in need of. This thing has like 2 crafting recipes. But we're not just going to stop there. Let's take the old gold powered rail recipe and repurpose it for a new, even faster type of rail. Super powered rails. Super powered rails would propel minecarts about 1.5 times more than normal powered rails, offering a higher tier of speed if the player is rich enough to craft them. Hey, Editing Jet here. I actually stole both of these ideas from a YouTube comment, but I have more subs than him, so I'm going to get all the credit. Not only do these changes make it easier for early game players to set up minecart rails, but it also makes minecarts viable for later game players, since with the higher minecart speed as well as the super powered rails, you're going to be moving at about 18 meters per second, which looks something like this. Holy shit. Oh my god. Going faster than O.J. Simpson's Ford Bronco. So, there we go. Minecart fixed. Kinda. There's still something else in our way, and that is, of course, horses. As we said earlier, horses are pretty much just minecarts, but better. They're faster, easier to get, all-terrain, can jump. Minecarts can't do that. A Toyota Tundra can't do that. The problem is, if we strip horses of any of these qualities, they kinda lose their original purpose, which is to explore new areas. Horses should be the go-to transport method when planning an adventure, but they shouldn't be used to travel between existing areas. That's the minecart's job. So we have a very interesting problem here. We need to find a way to make horses good for exploring, but bad for traveling, which sucks, because those are like the same exact f***ing thing. But luckily for you guys, I'm the second coming of Jesus Christ, so I know exactly how to solve this problem. What if we gave horses a stamina bar? As you ride the horse, the bar will slowly decrease until it reaches the end, at which point your steed will suddenly get a lot slower, forcing you to let it rest and recharge. This will make it slightly more annoying to use when traveling, since you wouldn't want to keep stopping to let your horse rest. But in theory, it wouldn't affect you while exploring, since you're frequently getting off your horse to collect materials or loot the structures you find, giving it enough time to rest and be ready to ride when you come back. And before you ask, yes, I made sure the cooldown was just long enough for your horse to travel about 8 miles away from where you left him. So there we go. Minecarts and horses fixed. almost. We're like almost there. We're so close. There's just one last thing we need to take care of, and that is ice boat highways. Because Jesus Christ, these things are horrible. By pairing a boat with a trail of solid ice, you're able to achieve ungodly speeds. Remember those minecart changes we made earlier? Well, with the superpowered rails, as well as the general speed boost, you'll be going at a max speed of about 40 miles an hour. Ice boat roads are 170. Not to mention that gathering a ton of ice is infinitely easier than gathering a ton of rails. So if you think that this is in any way fair or balanced, please unsubscribe from my YouTube channel and block me on Twitter, because I do not want you here. Now, we could just make boats slower on ice, which we are going to do, but I wanted something a little more symbolic. Something that would shake every ice boat lover to their core. Kaen, you'd say you're an ice boat racer, right?
Yeah, I'm racist.
That's not what I said. Okay, just come through the portal. I got something for you. Come over here. I set up this beautiful ice boat track just for you, Kaen.
In the nether?
In the nether. Don't worry about why it's in the nether. Just get in the boat, go on your ice boat track, have some fun. You've earned it, man.
I'm in my natural habitat.
You're in your natural habitat? That's good. Just keep going. Keep going. You're good. You got it.
Yo, this track sucks.
Yep. No, it's great.
What the hell? What the hell?
Ice was never supposed to exist in the nether, dumbass.
What the
Ice
hell?
was never supposed to exist. It melts.
This is so stupid.
Okay, thanks. That's good. And now, minecarts are fully balanced. You see how much work that was? God damn. I'm just gonna go and make videos on my live channel. Now, the thing I've neglected to mention throughout all of this is the elytra. It's kind of like the final boss of the transportation issue because it does absolutely everything. It is so outrageously useful that it's probably more worth it to speedrun the entire game and get it first than spend any time getting other forms of transport. So, how do we fix this? Well, if we nerf it, everyone just throws a fit on Twitter. Mojang already tried that. So our only option is making it harder to obtain. For now, I'm just gonna make the chances of finding an end ship 3 times less, but we'll definitely come back to this in a later video because that is a lazy solution that I wrote in the script 15 minutes ago just so that I can be done with this video, man. So there we go. Every mode of transport has a different specific use that players can use to connect their world. We have, in my opinion, fixed transportation and honestly exploration as a whole. Throughout this video, we've done a lot of things, from structures to biomes to I forgot to do anything with the desert wells. We have truly improved exploration far beyond what it was before. But there's something I've been avoiding talking about. Something I've been carefully treading around over the course of this video. And it is single-handedly the reason why Minecraft can never and will never be a true exploration game. The 1,200 migrant workers. In January of last year, Mojang released a snapshot that made a big change to how netherite is acquired. They introduced a new item called the netherite upgrade template. Now, in addition to needing your previous diamond equipment, you would also need an upgrade template to craft netherite. But here's the kicker. It can only be found in bastion remnants. This at first seems great. It's the first time exploring something has been mandatory for progression since the addition of the stronghold over 10 years ago. It requires the player to visit a dangerous area for a worthwhile reward, and is overall a really great concept in single player. Let's say you play on a fairly large server, one that already has all the bastions looted. How are you supposed to obtain netherite? Yeah, they're craftable, but you need one in the first place in order to make another. If no one's willing to let you borrow theirs, netherite is impossible to obtain. This is why exploration cannot be mandatory. As soon as you lock pivotal items behind biomes or structures, it runs the risk of harming the multiplayer experience, not to mention the dozens of different playstyles that exist within it. A builder doesn't want to be forced to fight the warden. They just want to build their house and be a little pussy. So for as long as it supports multiplayer and caters to different playstyles, Minecraft cannot and will not be a true exploration game. But maybe it doesn't have to be. If you look back on every feature I've suggested in this video, not a single one is necessary for the player to complete. You can get by just fine without sculk files. You don't need to visit a desert to get coal. Exploration was never meant to be the focus of Minecraft. It's just one of the many elements that makes the game what it is. And in my opinion, we've done a pretty damn good job at improving it. Again, the mod containing all of the features talked about in this video can be found on my Patreon, alongside some other cool benefits. So take a look if you're interested, and if you're not, buy it anyway so I can afford more drugs. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Oh my god. I'm like sweating. I'm like sweating after that recording session, bro. I can't take complaining about Mojang anymore. I'm so fucking done with this shit, bro. Just go over to my live channel, subscribe to that. I'm posting on there now.